Hey, happy Friday, everybody. I want to give you a real quick Friday encouragement. It comes from 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 5 through 7. But before we get there, let me set the stage a little bit. In verse 3, Peter writes, "By his divine power, God has given us everything we need for living a godly life." So he says, everything we need, God's given us for living a godly life. And how do we know this? He goes on and he says, because of God's promises. His promises, like Jesus promised us, that he will always be there with us. That God is right there beside us. He's present with us. That his Spirit is with us, is living in us, giving us power, giving us wisdom and discernment. And so because of God's promises, look what Peter writes next. This is 2 Peter 1, verse 5. In view of all this, make every effort to respond to God's promises. Supplement your faith with a generous provision of moral excellence, and moral excellence with knowledge, and knowledge with self-control, and self-control with patient endurance, and patient endurance with godliness, and godliness with brotherly affection, and brotherly affection with love for everyone. You know, as I read that, it kind of reminded me of this past weekend where we talked about kindness. And here Peter says, because of God's promises, supplement your faith, supplement what you believe to be true about Jesus with good works. We're not saved because of good works. We're saved to do good works. And so part of it is responding to people out of kindness, brotherly affection, godliness, self-control. And so kind of piggybacking off of what we did this past weekend, have you had a chance to be kind this week? How have you showed a kindness in your relationships? You know, it doesn't have to be a public display. Most often, you know, they're just things that we do, and we don't need that public acclamation, right? And so, what is it? You know, have you been noticing anyone that maybe could use an extravagant and unexpected display of kindness? Because remember what we talked about, how kindness shared at the right time can be life-changing? And so be on the lookout. And with that, I want to give you one area where I think you could share a little bit of kindness. One is, over the next few weeks, we have high school students that are getting ready to graduate. And every year what we have done is we've set out Bibles that we'll give to them. But we want you to come and highlight your favorite Bible verse and maybe write a note beside that verse. Do you know what we've heard just over the last few years? Every once in a while I'll hear from a student, and the student will say, you know what, I was reading in the Bible that the church gave me, and I came across this one note from someone in the church, and it was really encouraging. And so I would encourage you that if you know some of those students, right now they're right outside the student center, so you can find them there. But share a little bit of kindness and encouragement over the next few weeks by simply highlighting your favorite verse and writing a little encouraging note for that graduating senior. All right, church, we'll see you on Sunday.